Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to the Future History Project, where myself and other booktubers and a few watching are reading through Isaac Asimov's complete future history, plus the items and stories, novels that have been written by other authors. Now, we're nearing the end of Isaac Asimov's robot short stories. There are still a few left. But for the next few weeks, we will be hip deep in William F. Wu's Robots in Time. And earlier in the week, we read Predator, which is the first one, where, well, they're all going to be connected in the sense, or at least they appear to be, that there is, in the future, there is Mojave City, and there is a robot governor that's running the city, an underground city in the desert. And he's a huge robot, and he's a multiplex robot, where they call him a Gestalt robot. And he can break himself down into 6 smaller robots. There are 4 or 5 other robots around the world that have been created by Dr. Nystrom, created to run these cities. And there's a committee that's sort of overseeing everything. They don't really like these robots. So they found that there is a design flaw of some sort in at least the other ones. And they've all shut themselves down, or at least they forced the shutdown with conflicts with the 3 laws of robotics that shut the robots shut themselves down because of the conflicts. So this governor knows there's something going on, and he flees, but he flees in 6 different parts through time. The first one is MC1, his designation, fled to the Cretaceous period with dinosaurs. And we had another robot called Hunter. He's got like hunter instincts and a very sophisticated robot. Went to search for him and captured him eventually. He had the help of three other humans, one a roboticist, one an expert paleontologist, expert on paleontology and the Cretaceous period, and another another one that was an expert in sort of survival techniques. So, but also too, they had to contend with Dr. Nystrom going back because he wants to get the robots and try to fix them before they shut him down and destroy his own career. So he's a bit fanatical in this. But they're also trying not to make any changes in the historical record with the chaos theory as applied to history, where one little thing that can happen and there's a ripple throughout time that can cause huge changes. But they found that, stepping on grass and riding dinosaurs didn't seem to change anything. But when they did come back, there was a huge nuclear explosion off the coast of Jamaica. And there's, hundreds of thousands of people that are dying. There's a huge tidal wave that's going through the Caribbean. And Hunter finds out that what's happened is that because the MC robot has miniaturized himself and sent him back in time, thinking that, he could hide out in a miniature, like microscopic or atomic size situation, that but there was a flaw with that because of the process of time travel and the shrinking down and other things, that he won't stay small. He returns to normal size. eventually within about 48 hours. But the damage has been done to his molecules and his atoms that when he stays in that timeline and then approaches his own time, that where he left from, there is a catastrophic explosion, and all it takes is a few atomic particles to do that. Um, so they need to get him. So Hunter first of all feels that he's hasn't done his job well, but the roboticist says, well, we can change it. In this case, we can change time because nothing's happened till now. But what we can do is get him before he doesn't stay there. So the paleontologist is out. They get uh, an expert in sort of Caribbean, Jamaican history, early 1600s. And they go back again with Jane, the roboticist, and Steve, the survivalist. Also knowing that Dr. Nystrom there is as well. And that's where we've got the second one called Marauder. So at this point, they're after MC2. So they arrive back at Port Royal, which about 25 years after the time that they arrive, there is an earthquake and the city the town becomes submerged. But it hasn't happened at that time. It's full of privateers, buccaneers, pirates, whatever you want to call them, and Captain Morgan as well. So they do their usual thing, but the historian is, she gets a little punch drunk on history, and this is her favorite period, so she wants to explore the pirate life. So she hooks up with a pirate, a buccaneer that has actually been hired, unbeknownst to her. We eventually find out by Dr. Nystrom to find MC2, but also to find, knowing that Hunter and his team will be there, and to try to throw a monkey wrench in his plans. So he takes the Buccaneer sort of meets up with the historian, and she goes off with him, and turns off her communication and everything. So it's sort of it waylays Hunter because of his first law priority to protect her and to find her, but also to find MC2. So she gets taken on a ship. They find out to do some privateering, private privateering, not sort of government sanctioned, but against the Spanish. So they chase after her. Uh, they it's and then Nystrom is chasing after in another ship that talks the captain into. It's a bit convoluted, the sort of plot, and to be honest, a little inexplicable and not really realistic. But they do eventually find the MC2 and the historian, but they get separated again, and then there's another mission to with Captain Morgan and a whole bunch of captains that is government sanctioned to attack a town in Panama, Portobello, a Spanish town, the biggest and profitable organization, to do this, to raid a city, a very rich city. So on the coast of Panama, they do, eventually get back together, and then they come back into their modern times. But there is another nuclear explosion, and that's in Germany, and they find out that the MC, or one of the other MCs, had gone to 9 AD in Germany, so the Roman Empire. So that's where we end with this book. And as I say, it's like the plot is a little wonky, but it is a juvenile novel, And I guess the thing that's interesting, but I'm not sure how this is going to sustain itself for six whole books, so I hope things change a little bit, is the fact that there is conflicts with the three laws of robotics. And it's showing that even though it's a sophisticated robot, they can get caught up in the minutia of saving a human being as opposed to, you know, um, uh, obeying a human being or their own existence, or to override one other one and then being talked out of it by another human, saying that, well, this is actually greater problem, so let this one go, and concentrate on this as your first law, to protect the human or protect humanity as a whole because of the possible chance of time change where, if they accidentally kill one person, it could be a million people that disappear from the future with the chaos theory. So it's interesting the intricacies that they're going through for that. However, we've now done the exact same thing on two occasions with two different time periods with mostly the same people because we got Jane, the roboticist, Steve, the survivalist, Hunter, and, the historian, and Nystrom, who doesn't really care about or believe in that kind of thing. So it's, and yeah, I just hope that, eventually out of the six sort of very, very short novels, and these are short novels, they're well under 200 pages long, um, and they read very, very quickly. So, and I'm reading them at the moment on ebook, and I'm actually reading them probably about 40 to 50% slower. For some reason, ebooks drag out for me. So I am behind on reading because I'm reading from the ebooks, but that'll be happen for the next few weeks, sadly. But um, yeah, they're interesting even so, and I kind of like the time period, even though it's a little the time periods that they're going into, and there's silly things that they do, and like in this one here, it's like, it explains it a little bit how Hunter, like, because they needed money, so he was able to obtain somehow, uh, by the sounds of it, possibly from a museum, requisitioned, you know, equivalent money for the period. However, Nystrom, who came back, and before he went back to Jamaica in 1638 or whenever it was, or 28, in the early 1600s, he all of a sudden was able to get a whole bunch of money as well. And it's like, things are a little, a little too convenient at times. But again, as I say, it's a juvenile novel, so I keep that in mind, that there's going to be a lot of questionable things, and your sort of willing suspension of disbelief has to be stretched, because you can't ask too many questions. So far, I am enjoying it, and I'll make a quick video next tomorrow. What we will be reading for week 12, which is the next, like, it'll be book 3 and book 4 of Robots in Time. Until next time, book 2. I'll see you then.